I'm here.
It's your fave Dune duo.
Well, man, I wish it's not.
You're like, hold on.
It's not as cute when I go, look, my Kindle.
What's up, Scott? How are you?
I'm good. How about you, Meg?
Good. Very excited to keep it on our journey of Dune. I feel like these chapters. I mean, chapter 7, obviously, like it's Lady Jessica.
Oh yes,
chef's kiss.
Absolutely. And we're finally on Arrakis.
Yes, we're in Arrakis. Yes. What's up, Amanda?
Hi, Amanda.
You, Jason.
Hey.
Duno. Yes. Yes, I love it. Hey, Tiff. Yes, Amanda's hair, absolutely beautiful.
Oh, the Facebook photos were fabulous, by the way.
Yes, the pink or the mauve.
Mauve, yes.
I absolutely loved it. No, before we talk about Dune, I want to get your opinion on the Shazam suit. So, what's his name? Not Andy Samberg.
David Sandberg.
David Sandberg. Andy Samberg's the guy from Lonely Island. He released this little video
with the caption "coming soonish."
Yeah, coming soon-ish.
Why is it so dark? Probably would have been a good idea to have like one light on.
What do you think about this? We talked about it a little bit before the show in the DMs, but I want to know, what do you think?
I like it. See, I love the first Shazam. I understand the padding comments. It didn't bother me watching the movie, but I get it. But then we see what you just threw up there, and it's like, yes, upgrade. I like it because now this is Zachary Levi we're looking at. You know, it's not the suit. It's kind of like the criticism that I have about Tyler Hoechlin's Superman suit on Superman Lois. I think it looks great.
Really?
I do. I like it because I like the show.
I hate the suit. But I don't mind the show, but I hate the suit. But I know what you're talking about. Like, when you see this, I'm not focused on it being like overly padded anymore. I think it looks a lot more natural.
Mm-hmm.
Natural, as if he's not, jacked.
Right. I mean, look at that neck going into his shoulders. I mean, the dude's.
Yeah, because in the old suit, it had like a little bit of a gap.
Yes, it did. Right. So now it's like super tight, and honestly, I think it respects Zachary Levi more for the fact that he put in the work.
Yeah, because I don't know how much padding is still in it. Obviously, there's probably still a little bit of padding, but this also looks just like a natural fit body.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that we're looking at set photos, and we always know it's going to look better in the movie. So if we're already kind of excited about this, I mean, wait till we see it like in the actual movie. I love how the video. I felt like the video was kind of a parody of the Battinson reveal.
Yeah, me too. Like, so dark, which is true because I remember when the Battinson reveal came out, and people were just like turning up the brightness, enhancing because like you couldn't see shit.
No, you could
not tell what it looked like. You're like, okay, I can see the ears and there's a cape maybe, but other than that, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited, like I said, and I also confirmed.
Yes, you heard it here first.
Oh man, the way the internet goes, you wouldn't be surprised if that was something someone would say. I also love David Sandberg. I mean, the guy.
Me too, even though I forgot his name, I do too, because he's just like, I feel like he has such a genuine good time when he's making these movies.
Yes.
And how could you not? I mean, Shazam is such a character that like gives you so much joy as is. I couldn't imagine being able to like mold that character.
And have you ever watched like some of his like YouTube videos? Like,
I have.
I like the truth about test screenings. I love that video. And then also his commentary on Shazam. Like, I remember when he talked about like the reason. I love when he points out the own mistakes. It's like, oh no, the kids are wearing coats because there's a scene we cut out, and then the continuity doesn't work.
Yeah, I love how honest he is. He's probably like, if I had to like rank my favorite DC directors. He's probably like the third, just because of his personality. I think he's only made one movie in the DC universe so far, but I think he's just absolutely hilarious. And he doesn't try like overtly try to be funny.
He doesn't try, but he also engages with the fans. That's something we've talked about, like why Zach is so like people like wonder how does he have this fan? Well, because he engages with the fans. Mm-hmm. Sandberg does that and just does it naturally, and he also will put the smack on some trolls, which is also really funny when he does it.
Naveen said, I need to read Dune. Any suggestions on where to start?
Page 1.
Here. Yes.
Page 1 is a great place to start.
Don't feel overwhelmed when you go to a Barnes & Noble and there's like 70 Dune books, because you know what? We got you. You just grab this one. This one right here. Because I was in Barnes & Noble and I texted Scott a picture of the whole Dune section, and he circled the right one. So this is it.
Yeah, I literally like zoomed in on the picture, took a screenshot, and went, that one.
Hello, bonjour, guten tag. I don't know how to say the rest. Howdy, sup everyone. What's going on, Jonathan? Thank you. Did you have some Dune toys you wanted to show? Before we get into the discussion, Scott bought literally every Dune toy you could probably, like, for the movie so far that you can find.
Yes.
And they're not all here yet, but I wanted him to show.
There's one missing.
Yes.
I have everything. Literally, one arrived like 5 minutes before we jumped on for pregame. Yeah. Okay. So these are McFarlane toys. Okay. So McFarlane does these. It's funny because Ray from the Flightcast told me that they had been moved to like the clearance section like last year when the pandemic and the movie got delayed. And now you can't find them. Or if you find them, they're jacking up the prices. So we have... see if I can, the glares. Paul. And they come with a Build-A-Figure. I call it Build-A-Batista. We'll get there. So there's Paul. He's got his knives. He's in his still suit. And then this comes with Batista's legs. So we've seen it. So those are Batista legs right there. I will be opening these, by the way. These are coming out of the box because I have to build Batista. Let's see. Next is the one Meg has.
Yes.
Lady Jessica.
My queen.
Lady Jessica with her knife, her Chris knife, and her still suit, and then of course there's Batista's head.
That's the knife. I knew it. Chapter 7, they describe this amazing knife, and I need it. And so I got that figure. Hold on, let me get you out of Solo so it's not so awkward. I have that figure. And today I was rereading chapter 7, and it talks about the knife that's with the toy, and awesome. Now I have a reference.
Yeah. And so Lady Jessica comes with Batista's head, his giant sword, and his whip. Okay. And then this is what came 5 minutes ago. A character we have not yet met in the book yet, and that is Duncan Idaho, played by Momoa.
There is a slight tease to him, though, in, I think, chapter 6.
There is. He's been teased a couple of times.
Yeah.
And this comes with Batista's arms. So, Batista's arms about the size of Momoa.
You know what's funny is the Batista head. Sometimes I put them on my finger to terrorize Joey and Anthony in our meetings. So, there's that.
And then the pièce de résistance. We met this guy last time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen.
God, he's
yes, because we realized last time that Herbert pronounced it Harkonnen, not Harkonnen.
Yes.
So, and this thing is like a 12-inch. Like, this is the big buddy. This is a 12-inch figure. It even comes with a stand, so he literally he levitates.
Sorry, Joey. Yes, she does. Yeah, I terrorize those guys.
And so this one comes with a base and a stand, so he does suspend like he should. Because, I mean, look, this guy.
He's a big dude. Like, I hung out with Tiff on Sunday, and we went to GameStop, and they had the only Dune figure they had was him, and it was still like, it was expensive, and I wasn't down for it, but the box is humongous.
It is humongous. Yes.
He's a big dude.
So we have to ask the chat.
Yes.
This is the polling chat. I got Meg a present. Now we have to poll the chat. Do I show Meg her present?
Yes.
Or do I make her wait until it arrives in Michigan through the Postal Service? What say you, chat?
This person says show her, so
she looks familiar. She looks very familiar.
Yeah, I think yes.
Show. Okay. You ready, Meg?
Yes, I am. Should I close my eyes until it comes up? Okay.
Yes. Close your eyes. Okay. Open your eyes. Here it is.
It's a box.
It's a box. You're getting a box.
What's in the fucking box?
No, this is your present. I'm sending you this. This is what you're gonna get.
A box? Sweet. I do need one because I do need to send some people some things.
Well, that was good. You have a box coming. You know,
Cool.
There you go.
God, you're such a tease.
Okay, I will. Okay.
Nobody listened to Jason who said make it a mystery. Love you, Jason, but
you're getting your own Harkonnen.
Yes. Imagine if I would have bought it, then I would have two of those big frickers.
Oh man, even I'm saying Harkonnen. It's gonna be hard because I've spent way too much time pronouncing it wrong.
I don't think he would care how we said it, to be honest.
Oh man,
as long as we're reading the book.
As long as we're buying the book.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we're buying it. Amanda's you're unbearable. Oh, I'm so
I feel like my kids when they open it, like, oh look, we got you a box for Christmas.
Have you ever seen there's a Vine where a kid opens up his Christmas present, and God bless this kid because his reaction, but it's an avocado, and the kid goes, "Oh, an avocado, thanks." You have to see it.
Just because that stunt I pulled.
Yes, it's absolutely hilarious. I'm laughing just pulling it up. You ready?
Ready.
We turn it up.
Avocado. Thanks.
That was me, by the way. That was the kid I was.
Yeah, me too.
My parents drilled into me, you are grateful for whatever you get. Oh man. So no, I'm excited about these two. I mean, these are good. I mean, I didn't even realize McClellan was making toys for it until I walked into Target on Sunday. I was like, there's Dune figures and I can build a Batista. Sold.
Yeah. Who does? I mean, I feel like I got the best one because it comes with his head. And so now I think it's...
Well, it's also Rebecca Ferguson. That's why it's the best one.
And so far, she's my favorite character.
Well, she should be right now. You know, yeah. I
just feel like something's bad is going to happen to her. Yeah.
This is the hard part. This is the hard part when it's like, I know things.
I believe in the avocado. Yeah, me too. He's hilarious. I wonder what he's doing now. Okay, Joey.
Oh, no. Hey, you're the one who made him part of World's Finest. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. And he fits in perfectly. Okay, so we should probably get into the discussion. We've been live for about 15 minutes.
Oh, come on. That's just like...
Does anybody really want to hear the discussion? Hear us butcher these names. Although there wasn't many names that I couldn't pronounce. There was more so like, I think it's chapter 7 where Jessica's talking to this one chick and she's like saying all this different stuff in different languages, and I'm just like, I can't say any of this shit.
Well, it's okay because you're not supposed to. And then there's a lot of
I'm not the one, so I can't. Man. I don't know how to say it.
Ooh, so many things. Butcher all the names.
With your ring toy.
What's gonna happen?
No, the knife, the way it's described in the book is like, I want one so bad. Like when I was looking at pictures of this knife that we'll get into, it didn't look like how I thought it would. Like in the book, it's described as like like glittery or something. And in my head, I'm just imagining like she unsheaths this knife and it's just like pure glitter. That's in my head, you know.
Oh no! Oh, and then also you've got to remember that it's more like what the knife represents, rather than the knife itself. We'll get into we'll get into all of that. There's symbolism.
Yes, there is. Let's start out with chapter 5. So, in the previous chapters, we're introduced to a guy named, is it Dr.
You? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, easy.
Well, what gets me first is like his first name is Wellington. Yeah,
Wellington Yu. So he actually is the guy that the Harkonnens.
Yes.
They hire him to get rid of Paul.
Right, which is a big deal because he's got the imperial conditioning, which is supposed to actually make it impossible for him to harm anyone.
Thanks, Fatma. Have a good night. It's 3 a.m., girl. You're crazy.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, go to sleep. So he is introduced, and when I think of a doctor, I think of someone that's like not in shape, but like in better health than I am, and he's described as skinny. He has a mustache, purple lips, so I'm assuming he has purple lips because like he's, super skinny, probably malnourished. And he's got the diamond tattoo of what do they call it?
No, that's for the imperial conditioning. Like that's the mark that's supposed to say that he's been conditioned.
Yeah. So like it's cool because in the book there's so many different descriptions of characters that like it's the opposite of what I think it would be. So like with this doctor, I'm thinking it's going to be like, a fit guy because like he's in charge of like he helps Paul like with a lot of things.
He's basically like Paul's tutor.
Yeah.
He's called a doctor, but it seems more like he's the doctor more like in the PhD sense and not in the MD
Physical,
sense.
Yeah.
He's not a medical doctor. He's more of a PhD. He's a professor. Yeah. He's his private tutor.
That's okay, Naveen. When you start reading the book, let us know because we can have you on and you can also join in on the discussion. Let me open up to the page. I think page 61 is where I have my first note.
He also, I love it, his calm, high-pitched voice.
Yeah, like I'm trying to like just run that through in my head, like because what I love about these chapters is like it puts you into their thoughts sometimes.
Yeah, even though it's a third-person narration.
Yeah.
It still will narrate their inner thoughts. Because there's something I also picked up. Every chapter really does seem to focus on a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like that. So this was definitely like Yu's chapter. This is his introduction. This is his chapter. We're going to dig into his characterization.
Yeah. So he knows already that he is the one that has been in charge of getting rid of Paul. And I feel like in this chapter, you really understand, like, he doesn't want to do this. Like, it's like he has a sense of regret that he has to do this because he says about Paul, how the boy has filled out these past few months, such a waste, such a sad waste. And he says, I must not falter. What I do is done to be certain my Wana no longer can be hurt by the Harkonnen beasts. Now, I was confused about that when I first read it. I said, what's his Wana?
But did you go back and look at the princess introduction to the chapter?
I did, yep.
Yes, because that is Wana Marcus, BG, married. That's his wife.
Yeah, which it's extra sad, like at the end of the chapter because he reads Paul gets gifted this Bible from Dr. Yu, and there's a passage in it that Paul ends up reading that really upsets Dr. Yu. But no, I think it's cool how it shows that he's having some sort of regret, but he knows he has to do what he has to do, so his Yu won't be hurt anymore. I mean, his Wana, sorry.
Right, which is interesting because if you go by the meta text, and when we talk about the meta text, at the beginning of every chapter, if you've been following along with us, there's these uh, fake documents, like in-world documents that are little epigrams to the beginning of every chapter.
Yeah.
And it's always important that you don't skip them. You need to read them.
Yeah, because I made that mistake. Like the first 2 chapters, I skipped it, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" But you definitely need to read them, especially like these 3 chapters. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. So, according to this, if you pay attention to the dates, there's a question mark next to Juana's death year, and it looks like she dies 5 years before you dies. So we can keep that in mind. Like, if you passes over the course of this book, we'll then know what year it is, and then we'll know that she died questionably, 5 years prior.
Yeah.
So we just don't know what's up with this. Like obviously something that happened to her is at the fault of the Harkonnens, but then that's why he's working for them as the traitor in the Atreides house. So once again, we don't know everything. We don't know what's going on.
And it's cool to piece it together, because it's like, okay, now you know why Dr. Yu is doing this, and it's just for his wife.
Yes. But yet he acknowledges by the end of the chapter that she's dead. Like he says something. So it's
and when I was rereading that, I really picked up on that. I'm like, okay, so she's dead. Interesting.
Yeah.
So. Let's see. So he gives Paul these film books, which I would love for these to be a thing. I think they sound really cool.
Here's what I'm curious about. In your mind, because I know how I conceptualize the idea of a film book versus because then later when he gives Paul that Orange Catholic Bible, which I can't wait to talk about the Orange Catholic Bible. That's if you go into like the back material, there's a whole cool story behind that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah. Like I said, when we've had this discussion before, I say save the back material for when you actually finish the book. But the idea is that they don't actually use paper anymore. Like they don't have pages. So for you, how did you, in your mind, when you read about the film book, how did you conceptualize that? Like if you were making the movie, how do you design the prop? Like what does it do? How does the film book operate to you?
I imagined it something similar to like, the way Iron Man like projects things in the movies, like when he's designing something, like his AI. That's how I picture it. But like maybe it's like just I don't know, just like a tablet or something that just like 3Ds the image or something.
Okay. Because I even thought about something more like almost like either something more like, hey Nick, hey Andre. Sorry. The Nicotina thing still messes with me.
I interchange his name. I think he's fine with it.
Yeah. I almost thought of something like a Kindle. Like before remember the guys, this book was written in like the late 60s. But something like this, or thinking of the late 60s, almost something like you ever done dating myself, 80s kid. You ever go to the library and have to go through like microfiche or microfilm?
Oh yeah.
So I almost thought about like a mat instead of having that big thing that you had to go into the reading room, the library, think about it being like that version where like you're like because it's called a film book, so it's like because you don't have paper, so it's like you're looking through this film of whatever the information is. That's almost like how I visualize it, which is one of those cool things. Like I'm gonna because Villeneuve is gonna do something really cool in the film. I want to see if he has the film books in the movie. How did he conceptualize that idea?
Yeah, because I think yours is correct, because it says that the film book is loaded with like several different lessons. So I think that it would be cool to like have one of those viewers, like you were saying in the library, that just like you just spin through it and it's like, here's this lesson, here's this one. It also, like, I don't know why, but I'm picturing like a kaleidoscope or something. Because, yeah. Everything in this book is so trippy. Sometimes I feel like that would just add to it.
That would probably work with, Herbert was writing in late 60s San Francisco.
Yeah, and I mean, like, everyone's obsessed with spice,
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's cool because then when we get to the idea of the Orange Catholic Bible, the big deal is that it's on paper.
Filament, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I love the description. I'm not sure if you picked up on this. I was nerding out about this, but just the idea that you don't touch the paper.
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually like got this like static electricity thing that like it flips the pages for you, so you never touch the page. What I'm trying to visualize is that it has a built-in magnifier. Like
yeah.
I was trying to like, how does that work? I just like. I'm a bibliophile, so like this whole concept of like there's a latch. Yeah. I mean, we're all dating ourselves at this point. Yes.
No, I think it's because the book reacts to the reader. So maybe if like the book knows that Paul might have a hard time reading something, it just zooms in automatically. Like, is it attuned with the reader? I don't know. I mean, obviously, if it's like a book that has like a mind of its own in a way, that I'm sure it has some type of ability like that.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So the idea of the Orange Catholic Bible, gonna fill you in.
Yes.
Okay. So we're in this year 10,000 something. There's been this idea that one of the things that divided us and caused all these problems was, all these different religions. So there was this great council in the past at some point. I don't remember if it was before or after the Bolerian Jihad, where we got rid of all the machines, where basically they decided, okay, we're going to take all the religions and we're going to make a greatest hits. And we're going to just mishmash them all together. And so what the Orange Catholic Bible is basically taking all the sacred texts and basically doing a cut and paste job and finding some way to create one central sacred text, one religion from all these other religions. We're going to create a melting pot of all the religions into one religion, and the Orange Catholic Bible now becomes the one Bible, the one holy text for this melting pot religion. And it's taking all like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Taoism, all of it, and they just blended it all together. And that's what the Orange Catholic Bible is.
Yeah, it's like religion's greatest hits.
Yeah, that's spinning awesome. The top 40. But that's what that book is that is now the Bible, but there is only one, because there is only one religion now.
Yeah, because on page 63, it goes into, it's a very old Orange Catholic Bible made for space travelers. Not a film book, but actually printed on filament paper. It has its own magnifier and electrostatic charge system. The book is held closed by the charge, which forces against spring-locked covers. So like you literally don't have to touch the book. No, yeah. Oh, imagine that. When could we get books like that? Come on, Hubert.
I actually don't like it. I like it's the reason I still like real. I mean,
this book is obviously gigantic.
Yes, it is.
So like I'm holding it and like sometimes my hands, like my thumbs, start cramping.
Yes.
So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for us to be like halfway through, so where it like kind of holds its own. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I'm so rough with books too. Like,
I'm looking at the way you're treating that spine, and I'm just like.
Once we finish, I'm gonna treat myself to a hardcover.
I mean, no, but seriously, if you're gonna treat yourself to a hardcover, I mean, go broke or go home.
Yeah,
like, this is the one. This is the one to get. Yeah.
So this one is my use and abuse and learn everything I can before this movie comes out, which is getting so close, and I'm like, oh my god, are we gonna finish this? We'll finish it, or we'll get close to like the halfway point, because isn't like you said, I think the last time you mentioned that you think the movie, or we've heard that the movie is like just the first half of
the book. Yeah.
So yeah, the Orange Catholic Bible, I think, is really cool, and I like how Dr. Yu gives it to him and is like, yo, you got to keep this a secret. Like, don't tell anyone. Just like keep it for yourself. Is there a deeper meaning to, like, because will his mom get like upset or something that he has this Bible?
You know, that is something that I feel like that's where we get into the fact that when I read the book 2 years ago and I read the back material, I don't know why the idea of the Orange Catholic Bible, unless his father is like just a total, like, no religion whatsoever. Like, they're, in this world version of an agnostic or an atheist or whatever, even though he's, his concubine's a Bene Gesserit.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just so maybe that the Bible represents something, or you shouldn't have this precious document. Maybe because obviously it was his wife's it was the Bible that him and his wife shared. So maybe he's afraid that someone sees it that will tip them off to what's going on. Because remember, he's a traitor. And so there's got to be something there that maybe someone would see that, and especially Jessica. You can imagine Jessica with her Bene Gesserit hoodoo voodoo would, connect some dots.
Yeah. Part of me is also thinking that, like, if he were to get caught, like, let's say, okay, they find Paul, okay, let's say he's successful in killing Paul, and they find this book on him, the Orange Catholic Bible, and it's like, oh, this is Dr. whatever. Like, maybe he stole it from him. That's why he killed him or something. If the plan goes horribly wrong when they find out that Dr. Yu kills him, that's in my head. That's my conspiracy. I mean, I don't want Paul to die, so I don't want him to be successful.
I think it's safe to say Paul doesn't die.
Oh, thank God. Timothy Chalamet lives for another day. But there's a little bit before we get into the Orange Catholic Bible, they were talking more about the Fremen and the sandworms.
Yes.
And in the trailer, you get to see this huge sandworm, and I probably should have found a picture. I can still look one up. But the sandworms, and it says how they like range in different sizes, and obviously the one we see in the trailer is gigantic and terrifying.
Oh yeah, that's probably like the ones that it talks about being 400 meters in length.
Ugh. Yeah, like even just looking at it now, I'll pull it up. I just gotta save it really quick. They look disgusting.
Well, but it's also cool that like Dune fans, like the sandworm is just one of those images that everyone. Like, why else do you save that for the end of the trailer? Because a Dune fan is looking at that going, dude, sandworms!
Which is true, because when I saw the trailer, spoiler alert, shut up. When I saw the trailer, it was like everyone's reaction was like, oh my God, the sandworm. And I'm like, I have no idea what that is yet, but it looks cool.
Well, also, Zavi is putting out that new 4K release of the Lynch movie from '84, and the brand new art. If you get the brand new art and not the original poster art, it's a sandworm. Like that's just how important the idea of the sandworm is.
You're probably better at this question. What about Dune 1984 movie, 2000 miniseries, worth checking? I haven't seen any of that.
As I have said before, the 1984 movie is worth checking out. Do not use that to substitute for the book, because there's going to be a lot of what the hell when you. but it's a cult movie. I like it just as a piece of film history. Like it is a wackadoo movie, and I think it's worth checking out because it's David Lynch, and it's Kyle MacLachlan, Patrick Stewart, Sting, it's
yeah, it is cool to like do a compare and contrast of like the cast of this movie. And then even when we're going through descriptions of the book, like we talked today in our messages saying that the description for Duke Leto doesn't really match Oscar Isaac, but like it's still a great casting. And same with Lady Jessica and Rebecca Ferguson. Like their descriptions are totally different, but I think that when I'm reading it, that's who I think of now.
Right, because they can perform the character, and you can ignore the physical description.
Yeah, yeah.
So the 2000 miniseries, actually, that's hard to find.
Really? I didn't even know that there was a 2000 miniseries until today when I was looking up the knife, a picture of that knife. I kept finding, I was like, there's a miniseries, and like some of the actors in it, I was like, how did I not know that this was a
William
thing?
Hurt was Leto, and yeah, I had it on DVD, and then when the Villeneuve movie got announced, I sold it at a secondhand bookstore, and then I heard like, oh no, that sucker's like,
dang,
like that sucker like can go on eBay because apparently it is so hard to find. It was a miniseries that they did on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I've heard that yes, that exactly, yes, like. I still love watching it because my dad loved the movie so much. My dad showed it to me when I was in like the 3rd grade, just because my dad thought it was a cool movie.
Yeah. No, when I told my dad that I was reading Dune, he was like, "Didn't they make a movie about that?" And I'm like, "I think so." And he loves the Dune movie too, but he didn't know that it was like a book. He's not a big reader.
See, my dad knew it was a book. He just hadn't read it yet. And then he read the book going, well, the movie makes a little bit more sense now.
Yeah. I can't imagine watching a movie. Like, I can't imagine going into the Dune movie blind because there's so many things that I'm like we reread each chapter like twice before we have a discussion, and I still feel like I miss things. So like I'm gonna be like surprised on how they do it in the movie for sure, because so many things have such a deeper meaning sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you're watching it, you can't just go back. If like you're in a theater, like you just can't go back and be like, wait, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, trust me. There's a reason why this is like.
I know you sent me the picture of your shirt today, and I said that is perfect. That is perfect.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly true, but there's a reason we feel this way.
Yeah, The Secret of Frank Herbert's Dune 2000 and Dune Children of Dune. I didn't see. There's so many Dune things I didn't even know were a thing.
Children of Dune is a sequel miniseries because the next 2 books after Dune, the next 2 books are called Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. The Children of Dune miniseries on Sci-Fi takes Dune Messiah and Children of Dune, and because Dune Messiah, the second book, is like super, super short. So it's a sequel miniseries. So basically, if you watch those 2 miniseries, you get the content of the first 3 books of the Dune series.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, back to, because we're still in the first chapter. Yeah, we're still in the first chapter. So, and then he also talks about the Fremen, which he says make up half of the population. Yeah, I don't know. Half of the population on Arrakis. He says that they have totally blue eyes, no whites in them. And Paul asks if it's a mutation, and he said no, it's linked to the saturation of the blood with, I don't know how to pronounce this, but melange. There we go.
Yes, which is the scientific name for the spice.
Spice. Yeah. Which, if you guys are new here, spice is like
the jam. Like that's what this whole thing is about, is the spice. And it's only available on this one planet.
Yes, I also need the 1984 Dune for my VHS collection as well.
Available on HBO Max, actually. You can watch it there.
But is it on VHS?
No, it's not on VHS.
I need it for my collection, and so does Jonathan.
Yeah, I understand that. I respect that.
But yeah, no, I think getting to know the Fremen is like the main premise of like this, like the next chapter 2, where Paul finally gets to talk to his dad, Duke Leto, which is the first time we see him.
I know, right?
or not see him, but like he's in the actual story, like he's talking.
Right, like because they have talked about Leto.
Yes,
but Leto hasn't actually been on, the equivalent of on screen, and that's kind of cool to like, you already have like this idea of who this guy is before he even shows up. Which
we'll get into the next, because he's in the next chapter, but I think it's interesting because my first, like, reading about him before actually meeting him, my first impression was totally different than how I feel about him now. So I think that's interesting. What's a VHS?
Oh,
Dave, you are old enough to know.
Yeah, you are definitely old enough to know.
But so, like, ending this chapter, Dr. Yu tells him to read a certain scripture out of this Orange Catholic Bible. And what's the one he tells him to read?
Well, we don't actually know like what it's called, because Paul reads the wrong one, because there's two notches in the Bible, and he finds the notch for his wife's favorite verse.
Yeah, and it kind of pisses him off that he starts reading it.
I don't know. I was kind of curious. I didn't feel like it was really pissing him off, as more of it's just upsetting him. Like, I feel like Dr. Yu is either actually intrinsically conflicted about this betrayal that he is participating in, or it's the conditioning working. Like, the conditioning is telling him, this is wrong, and it's like tearing him up. And like, so that was the question I had.
I feel like he's upset because, like, how is it that Paul picked out like that specific one that he was just thinking about?
Right. No, and I think that's actually that's the part that is kind of interesting, is that he doesn't realize that Paul could touch the notch that would be his wife's verse.
Because I wrote in my notes that he picks the wrong one, and because he ends up reading part of his dead wife's favorite passage.
Meg, you keep on going. I gotta jump off for a second, but I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll entertain the people. So, now that Scott's gone, it's weird to talk about a book by myself. VHS blew up over the past year. Everyone is collecting VHS. That's true. Just this year, actually, I started collecting a ton of VHSs. Like, I think I probably have, they're all stacked up on my floor over there. Whoops. I have probably like 50 or so now. And you're kidding? You weren't kidding? What's a VHS? I wish I had one next to me, but I don't. Tell us how you really feel about him. Okay, this Scott guy, he's the best. He's the absolute best. Me too. Yeah. No, so a VHS, let's go down. Here, let me pull a picture of a VHS up. Not what I expected to do today. Save. Yes. How old are you, Naveen? You don't know what a VHS is? One second's loading. These are VHSs. Those right there. Wait, were you really kidding or not? You're 21 and you don't know what a VHS... Oh, okay, never mind. Oh my god, you're 21? That's crazy. What do you guys think about the Shazam suit? I know we talked about it in the beginning, but there was like 2 people here. Here, let me... Bam! Look, I'm right next to him. Hey! What do you guys think about it? I think it's pretty dope. I don't know how I feel about the lightning bolt, though. I wish it was the old one. You love it? Yeah, dude, it is pretty sick. Okay, cool. Whew. I think, Naveen, you just made me feel old for the very first time in my entire life. So, thank you. I know, I was just thinking that the fact that he's 21 means he was born in 2000. Yeah, you know, it feels very 90s. Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool suit, I think. You don't like the wide neck? Yo, I think... Here, let me pull up a picture of his old one. When did the movie come out? Don't remember. Save this one. 1999, actually. Ugh. That's my favorite Prince song. Okay. I like the new suit better because I feel like I don't know, it's just so bulky on him here. Like, it looks like in the neck part, on this suit at least, it looks like there's so much room underneath the suit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's do a comparison. This or this? This or this? I'm going with this one. Both Dune miniseries were put out on Blu-ray by Umbrella Entertainment for anyone interested. There we go. Children of Dune features a young... Yes! I saw that when I was looking at pictures of this dagger, or this knife that we'll talk about in the 7th chapter. A picture of James McAvoy popped up when I was looking up, and I'm like, James McAvoy from Dune? Okay. And now we have to Google a cassette. No. Everyone is looking for Halloween VHS, Monster Squad VHS. I have Back to the Future. I have Halloween H2O. I have the Batman ones. Let's see. I don't have any of the Turtles, and I don't have Friday the 13th. But, dude, I'm going to do a video soon on all the VHSs that I have bought because it's a lot. It looks padded AF. Yeah, it does. Like he is in an inflatable suit, but the newer suit doesn't look like he's in an inflatable suit. Yeah, it looks like closer to his actual body. With the finished VHS effects. VHS effects? The finished effects. I think the suit will look even better. I concur, Naveen. Nice. Thank you. Do you work in like a video? Do they have video stores anymore? Or like, do you work somewhere that has a bunch of them? Because hit me up. I just bought like... What ones did I just buy? I can go through my DMs because I bought it from this shop on Instagram. And I'm going to do a video on it. But hold on, let me... Scroll. Here, I can probably go full screen so it's not just Scott's head. Okay. What ones did I get? Still gotta scroll. Wait, where is it? Okay, so I bought Glory on VHS. I know VHS effects was wrong with me. I bought Glory on VHS, Roadhouse, and Big Trouble in Little China, and I have them all right now, but I need to like do a video on them because they're like in perfect shape, absolutely perfect. The second suit is definitely cooler, Man of Steel vibes, but just weird wide neck, probably. Yeah, I'm sure the cape will like help that. VHS, I don't know. Did you guys see my Jon Stewart? Let's see if it'll focus on him. There we go. Doesn't he look so handsome? Nope, that's me. I'm handsome. What focus? I have such a hard time with this. But yeah, he's pretty dope, if you ask me. There we go. Look at him. And this is a minigun, by the way. I call it a machine gun in my video. but it's definitely a minigun. Shout out to my friend A-List who corrected me on that. Yeah, dude, looks just like Wayne T. Carr. It looks cool. Thank you. Hope it doesn't fall. Don't fall. Wayne T. Carr. Exactly. Yeah, so I have like I would move my camera, but I don't want it to fall. This is my Wonder Woman one. I made a video about the custom toys, custom accessories that I got. There's Scott! He's back! Oh, thank God. One sec.
Fatherhood called. Snotty baby congestion woke himself up.
And no, it's fine. It gave me an opportunity to show off my toys.
I was like, Wonder Woman. Okay.
Yeah, it felt weird talking to myself about the book. So I was like...
You weren't talking to yourself. You're talking to the people.
I bet. Yeah, but I feel like most of these people probably haven't read it yet. Oh, he froze. Scott, come back to me. Thank you. I appreciate that. There you are. Oh. You're back.
I know. I was just like, why? Of course. It would freeze up when I get back. Yes.
Maybe this is just punishment for us not doing it the original day we were supposed to do it.
Oh, you know what? There's all kinds of there's all the kinds of things that can go wrong.
Okay, let me get back to the page I was on.
Oh yeah, because we were talking about the doctor freaking out about reading the verse his wife loved.
Yes. Let me figure it out. Yes, we were talking about how Paul. There's 2 notches in the book, and in this Catholic Bible that he has, and he picks the one that is Dr. Yu's wife's favorite passage. Well, it's her passage that she marked.
And I think it's interesting. It says, "Think you of the fact that a deaf person cannot hear? Then what deafness may we not all possess? What senses do we lack that we cannot see and cannot hear another world all around us? What is there around us that we cannot?" And then you chops them off. And I'm just like, ooh, I just want to sit and ponder on that. What is it saying? Is it not just because that it was his wife's favorite verse? Is it because of what the verse is trying to teach or communicate?
Yeah, and I think it also is interesting the description that, well, not the description, but the inner dialogue that Dr. Yu is having, where he says, Juana marked her passage. His fingers are more sensitive than mine, and he found her mark. It was an accident, which I think also goes into how Paul is just a different kind of being in this whole thing. And it really goes to the way, the B'nai Gesserit and how he was supposed to be a girl, but his Lady Jessica was like, nah, we're not doing that.
Well, and also it's almost like him rationalizing to himself how Paul would have found his wife's favorite passage. At first it's almost like, does he know? You almost get the sense he's like,
yes.
Do you know? Is this you getting at me? And then he has to stop and rationalize it to himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, but yeah, Dr. Yu, it's not like he's upset with Paul about picking that passage. It's just it was jarring to him. I think he was that's not the passage I feel like he expected him to read or he expected to hear.
Yes, exactly. And of course, you're talking about a guy who's already kind of wound up to begin with. So
yeah, he's kind of a kooky guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going against your brainwashing to betray the family you've worked for years to have their son murdered. I mean, it's
because the very last there's the last 2 paragraphs is Paul thanking Dr. Yu for this gift, and he said, "It will be our secret. If there is a gift of favor you wish from me, please do not hesitate to ask." And Dr. Yu says, "I ... need nothing." And then he goes into so he has this inner monologue where it says, "Why do I stand here torturing myself and torturing this poor lad? Though he does not know it," I think that's oi. Damn those Harkonnen beasts. Why did they choose me for their abomination? And that is the end of chapter 5.
Which is the shortest chapter, and yet we spent all this time talking about it. Like, that's just how freaking deep this book is.
55 minutes. But, okay. Yeah, we've been talking for a while on this first one. I was going to try to rationalize it. But...
No, don't try to rationalize
it. So then we get into chapter 6, which we finally get to hear. Well, not really hear, but Duke Leto is actually a person and not just someone they talk about. This is the first chapter he shows up in the entire book. And we are 66 pages in, and he's finally here.
Well, 66 pages of like 600-700 pages, but it's all relative.
yeah. I guess maybe just the way we've been reading it, it feels like so much longer because we talk about each chapter for literally an hour.
Well, that it's good writing. It's what it deserves. I think it's interesting, the family commentaries, once again, when we talk about the meta text at the beginning of each chapter. I love this description of Leto. Mm-hmm. A man of surpassing warmth and surprising coldness was the Duke Leto Atreides. Yet many facts opened the way to this Duke. His abiding love for his Bene Gesserit lady, the dreams he held for his son, the devotion with which men served him. That's a big one that comes back a lot. And you see him there, a man snared by destiny, a lonely figure with his light dimmed behind the glory of his son.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one, it just sounds like great propaganda, but when you read about Leto, like that, just like that nails his like all Oscar Isaac had to do was read that and be like, "There's your motivation, go."
Yeah, because I think the absence of him in the first few chapters is really what, like, not rubbed me the wrong way about him, but like the way I'm like, okay, this guy, he's supposed to be such a great guy, but where is he? He's never around his kid. He's never around his girl. Like, what's going on?
But yet, and that's interesting, your perspective, because then from my perspective, and I think this maybe, not trying to be sexist here, but maybe this is like a great little female male perspective, is that but then you also know that he is supposed to be this great man. And so, and that they're leaving for a completely different planet, like tomorrow, like, packing. I mean, we got packing to do. Like, we've removed. It's a little busy, and this is moving the entire castle to a different planet. But you got to think that he's always like he has so much going on.
Yeah,
that it almost makes a moment like this mean so much more because you see how much Paul values the time he gets with his father, and his father doesn't try to blow him off. His father you could almost pick up on the regret that Leto has that he's not being able to spend more time with Paul lately. Like, at least that's how I read it.
He the chapter opens with Paul is in the training room, and his father comes up to him, and it's like they have like this little joking relationship right from the start. He's like, "Oh, were you hard at work?" And I just think it's interesting because all the way up until now, I thought of him as kind of like a cold person. I didn't know, or I didn't think that he really cared much for like his family. Really, I felt like he just cared about being in charge type thing.
Okay.
So like when you read the passage by the princess, it's like, okay, like he actually does have some, because I think in maybe our first discussion or the second one where I felt like it didn't seem like he cared much for Lady Jessica other than having a child.
That was actually in our first discussion, because that's when we got into the whole, that became all part of the power of the women in this world and the Bene Gesserit. You want to see us talk an entire stream about one chapter.
No, but I think it's interesting where it says his abiding love for the Bene Gesserit lady. And then you really do see when he's talking to Paul that he has such high aspirations for Paul, but not like something that's unachievable. Like he knows that his son is going to be like this great ruler or a great person in charge.
Well, and skipping to the end of the chapter, I mean, the fact that it is that it's revealed that Paul is a mentat.
Yes.
But then
that
you saw
my mind.
See, it's like can't you almost see it come? Like he's got the B'nai Gesserit.
It's funny because, I mean, we're skipping so much, but this I feel like is so important, and I'll forget if I don't say it. Is that it does when you read the last page of the chapter, it's like, well, obviously, why didn't I see that before?
Yeah,
and because it goes into like, you don't tell a mentat that they're going to be a mentat while they're training to be a mentat because it will ruin their training. Right. So it's like, then he brings it up and he's like, well, you have a choice. You can continue now because you're so deep into it, or you can just stop.
Well, because it reaches a point where the mentat's going to realize what's going on, and you need to, and the mentat needs to choose to go down that path. Like it has to be an active choice. Mm-hmm. And so I think to your point about you personally realizing how much Leto really is a caring and loving father, mm-hmm. it's that Leto recognizes that his son has reached that maturity to go, now, son, it's time for you to choose the path you are going to go down. Mm-hmm. I can't make this choice for you. The best I could say is Leto is proud of the choice that his son makes. It's like, yes, you made the choice I wanted you to make, but without me forcing you to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks highly of Leto personally.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like Paul's entire life has just kind of been like, not a choice, but like he was supposed to be a girl. Now he's not a girl. And like, now it's like all of these things are happening. So it's cool to see that like he has a choice in at least something.
Right. Well, it's because this idea, but he still realizes that he has a great purpose. He's wrapped up in destiny.
Terrible purpose.
His terrible purpose. He's wrapped up in destiny. Because we talked about how the B'nai Gesserit have this ability to like calculate into the future, and so they make manipulations so that the future that they see is going to happen. And by Paul being born a boy, that completely screwed with their whole plan. So you really do see that Paul is like in this, he has a destiny, but at the same time has such free will. Like he can choose to go down this. It's this weird paradox of
that's what like I'm thinking is like he has a choice, but then again, like he doesn't. Like everything that he's like, all the challenges that he's put in front of, I feel like he already knows the choice that he has to make. Like, and it's maybe not it was predetermined, and now it's totally haywire now because the one thing got messed up. Not messed up, but like the most important piece.
Well, Jessica chose to exercise her free will.
Yes.
By giving birth to a boy.
Yeah.
Which means the B'nai Gesserit plan is out the window. And now Paul sees this path for himself. Because remember, he dreams about the future.
Yes.
So there's some sense of predestination. But he's choosing... But then you could argue that he's choosing to follow that path.
Yeah.
Which then goes into free will. Herbert's messing with some really deep ideas, and I love it.
I know. It really makes my brain work pretty hard. So Paul and his father start talking about Arrakis and how he basically tells Paul that like once they get to Arrakis, I think he uses the term, there's no rest on Arrakis.
Yes.
That's on page 67. Because then they start talking about this chapter, I feel like is like the most political chapter out of them all.
It almost as much like it ties, it starts to contextualize things that we heard about in the Harkonnen chapter.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like some of the politics stuff, is like hard to follow. It's like in our last discussion, like I like all of the mind bendy stuff and the politics stuff. It doesn't bore me, but it's harder for me to get into. So like when he's talking about I think it's pronounced CHOAM is the acronym.
CHOAM. It's the corporate we talked about. It's like the mega corporation.
Yeah. So it says that. So CHOAM controls the spice, is what Paul says to his father. And Arrakis, with its spice, is our avenue into CHOAM, the Duke said. There is more CHOAM than melange. Isn't that how you say it?
Yes.
Got it. So basically he says that so Arrakis is full of this spice, right?
It's the only source of the spice.
So they're going to Arrakis to, control the spice, and that is their way into the CHOAM. And says the profit is highly dependent on spice production, which there's a bunch of families or like important families in CHOAM.
Yes, because basically, if you produce something, CHOAM controls it.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a seat on the board of directors, basically, because you produce this thing that the corporation then needs to go and sell. So, because we talked about before how the Atreides family, you had mentioned how you were surprised when you realized the Atreides family isn't quite as high up as what you would believe. And getting this fiefdom gifted to them by the Emperor of Arrakis is their ticket onto the board of directors for CHOAM, because now the Harkonnens are out, and now the Atreides control the spice, which means then they get to be part of the board of directors, because now they are the company. The family is now in charge of running the spice planet.
Yeah, I think Duke Leto says, and I don't know what page it's on. It's either 67 or 68, but he mentions like having a dictatorship in the CHOAM, or the CHOAM is a dictatorship of the spice. And so getting that large sliver really puts them in a good place, because
you think directorship?
Yeah, directorship. I don't know why I said dictatorship. There we go. I even wrote directorship. But then we learn on page 69 that Joey made a 69 joke earlier.
I'm not surprised.
That certain families are stockpiling spice.
Yes.
So the more spice you have, the more power you have. Because it says an enormous portion of those profits depend upon a single product, the spice. Imagine what would happen if something should reduce spice production. And Paul goes on to say, whoever had stockpiled melange could make a killing. Others would be out in the cold. The Duke permitted himself a moment of grim satisfaction, looking at his son and thinking how penetrating, how truly educated that observation had been. He nodded. The Harkonnens have been stockpiling for more than 20 years.
I mean, just think about what we've gone through, like in 2020, 2021, with the toilet paper and the gasoline. Like that's what we're talking about. Like, you're talking about when something happens to production and suddenly everyone gobbles up the supplies. I mean, the idea about this is that when spice is not the only thing that this corporation sells, but it's their number one product, it's their profit margin is spice. If something should happen to spice production, and of course, now that the Atreides are in charge of it, who's going to get blamed if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
The Atreides.
Because the next sentence says, they mean spice production to fail and you to be blamed.
And then if you've been stockpiling it, then all the profits get to go to, say, the Harkonnens, who was like, oh, we got some spice. You want to buy the spice off us? Thanks, Dave.
I don't know what to say.
You highlighted the comments. So
I had to. It was hilarious.
Don't.
We won't even go into the logistics of how you could even do that.
But oh no! Now getting to like train spotting territory. I think I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah. Anyways, so basically, the Harkonnens have been stockpiling this for a very long time, and it just adds to the tension between these two families, I think.
Well, because you got to think they've been in charge of Arrakis for this whole, like the whole big deal is that there's this change of power that for probably the first time in 20 or more years, the Harkonnens aren't going to be in charge of Arrakis. It's going to be the Atreides. But the Harkonnens were preparing for this day when they were no longer going to be in charge, but they wanted to make sure they had the spice, because you could just get the sense that the Harkonnens are always
they just seem like suck. They're assholes, man. I know. Like, what is up with them? Like, I feel like they're holding such a grudge just because Paul was just born a dude. Or does it go back? Obviously it goes back further.
It goes back further than that. Okay. Like, remember, the whole point was that this was supposed to heal
the tension.
The hills. So which means the tension was already there.
Ugh. Golly. So, then they mention another house. Landsrad?
No. The Landsrad is like this echelon of these
like
houses.
Best of the best.
Either the best of the best, or the not really the best of the best, more like they're that lower tier, because the Atreides are like part of it. So they're kind of like band together to create sort of a power collective of families.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, you got the Empire, you got the Emperor, and then the Landstrat is kind of like this echelon of families. Like we band together to kind of say, we as the families are trying to express our power. So it's a collective of the families.
Got it. Once I was just going in my notes here.
Oh, no, it's fine. Like I said, I guess the thing is, this kind of political stuff is like gets like my juice. Like, I love.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I love the political kind of stuff. Is like, it's just it's not boring to me. It's just like, I want to get to the chapter 7. I fucking love.
Chapter 7 is great. Well, because then that gets into like mythology.
Yes, yeah.
But the point that I like to make, and we've had this discussion like when we had part 2, is, but you need to understand this, because this is what the whole motivations are going for. The best part is that whatever you like about Dune, if it's the political intrigue, if it's the mythology, if it's the weird, trippy, what the hell is going on, the point is that you need to at least appreciate all of it, because it's all going to tie together.
Yeah. Well, and I also like how in this chapter, Paul is basically like questioning his dad on like, why are we walking into this? Like, if you know this is like what's going to happen, or if you have this feeling that this is going to happen, why are we doing this? And the Duke says, knowing where the trap is, that's the first step in evading it. This is like single combat, son, only on a larger scale.
And this is a part where I really like Leto's character.
Yeah.
Because it shows you how smart this man is. It's like, oh no, I know we're about to get screwed. Like, this is set up for us to get screwed. The point is for us to walk into a situation where we're supposed to get screwed and win. Like, that's his whole thing.
Yeah. But no, yeah, and I just love the way they speak to each other, because it's like, you can tell he has like such a respect for his son's knowledge, even though his son, what is it? He's like 16, right?
So 13 or 14. Right now he's only like 13 or 14.
Oh, okay. So it's just like, his son is so smart already, and already has like such a great mind about these things.
He's so intuitive.
Yeah.
He like you talk about that observation. It's like, wow, you already figured that out. Like that, like he realizes, I think it's him realizing, yes, my son's mentat ability, like it really is like he he really is as gifted. I almost see it like a father looking at a son who you would label as gifted. It's like kind of going, wow, I thought you were something special, but you just continue to impress me.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to page 70 where it talks about knowing the list of your enemies. So like they really want to figure out who else is stockpiling the spice.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also interesting that even Leto admits to Paul that the Emperor is behind part of this. Like they know the Emperor is trying to stab them in the back.
Yes. Which is just so, I'm just wondering, like, why is everyone so against this family? Like, so I feel like everyone's just like coming at them.
Well, and I think, and this isn't me trying to give anything away. This is me just kind of looking at it going, but think about who Leto is when we talk about how people respect him, how people like, who is one person that anyone in power always wants to eliminate? The person who doesn't even have to try to get people to follow them. Like the person who just naturally, because of their honor, because of their ability, because of who they are as a character, inspires people to follow. Like those are the people that we call a natural leader. And those are the people who in power, they want to get rid of because they see someone like that is someone who can threaten their power, even if that person doesn't intend to. It's almost like that person can't help but challenge them because other people are going to challenge them because they go, but he's better than you are.
Yeah, which really goes into play in these next few pages because the Harkonnens have a horrible relationship with the Fremen people.
Oh, terrible.
Terrible. And the Duke Leto actually sends Duncan, Idaho. Yeah, he sends Duncan to meet with these people and kind of like give them a rundown of like the house and like the people and get like a feel for them as well. So I think that shows just how much of a better leader he is than the Harkonnens, because it's like feels like the Harkonnens just jumped in and treated them like crap.
Well, also, Leto realizes that the Emperor, if the Emperor is against him, then you have the entire Imperial Army and also, and I'm forgetting the name, but that like militant, the Sardaukar.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers, basically, of the Empire. And Leto knows, well, if I have to fight the Imperial Army and the Sardaukar and the Harkonnens and any other family that wants to side with them, I need an army.
Yes. And the Freemen make up half of the population of Arrakis. So.
Right. and half of the population of the planet that is the only source of spice. You know, Leto was thinking like 10 steps ahead going, if I can, it would be, think about it this way. And this is definitely what Herbert was going for. Think about any kind of colonial society. Imagine what would happen in a situation if the colonialists went into a situation and instead of trying to wipe out the indigenous people, tried to make allies out of the indigenous people.
Yeah.
So then you think about the history of like when the Dutch and the French and the English and when they were all going into the same areas. Imagine what would happen if one of those decided, hey, instead of treating the indigenous people like they're scum that needs to be scraped off, the sole of our boots, how about we treat them like the people, the proud people that they are, and made allies out of them? Dude, you can go and kick everyone's ass, right? Because it's their home.
Yeah.
They know how this works.
Well, yeah. And plus when you talk about Arrakis, it's like, doesn't seem like a very nice place for outsiders, like people that don't understand the planet and how there's no water unless you're like in chapter 7 where it talks about water as wealth. And it doesn't seem like, so if you go into it treating these people horribly, they're not going to help you get used to these conditions, or they're not going to help you out in any aspect.
Right. And these are also people who they have, they are badass because they live on this planet.
Yeah.
They survive on this planet.
Yeah.
I think that also goes into some of that socio-political statements that, because we've talked about that before, how Herbert's touching on so many different things in this book, and the whole idea of colonialism and indigenous peoples, like this is, I think, where you see how progressive Leto is, that he wants to make allies of these indigenous peoples, almost playing off the fact that the group that came in before him treated them like ass.
Yes. Yeah. Because he tells Paul that like the Harkonnens like treated them like the Harkonnens sneered at the Freemen, hunted them for sport, never even bothered trying to count them. We know the Harkonnen policy with planetary populations: spend as little time as possible to maintain them. So yeah, not the nicest people.
I know. And, this being another mention of Duncan Idaho, well, why haven't we seen him? Well, because he's the emissary. He's the ambassador. So what does that tell you about Duncan Idaho? That he's the man that Leto sends to say, you are my like, you're there to introduce the Fremen to us. Like, you're the man I send as a shining example of who we are and what we can be for you.
Yeah. And Duke Leto describes him as a proud and ruthless man, Duncan, but fond of the truth. I think the Freemen will admire him. If we're lucky, they may judge us by him. Duncan the moral.
Yes. And I'm like, dude, what a character introduction. Like, and remember, this is who Momoa's playing in the movie.
I know. I'm so excited. Gosh. Yeah, I love the way that they describe characters. Like, most of the time they first describe them as like their characteristics. So like, he's a proud and ruthless man. I just instantly think of like a warrior type guy.
Yes, yeah, but then to be described
the moral part,
yeah, it's like, I'm ruthless, but I have a morality too.
Yeah. Yes.
And once again, there's a lot of paradoxical characters, like, or at least the way Herbert describes them, he uses characteristics that you don't think these two things would fit inside of one person. It's almost like Herbert's messing with the Eastern philosophy of the yin and the yang, like the idea of two conflicting philosophies that yet somehow fit together to create a whole person. I wonder if that was something Herbert was intentionally
I'm sure
going for.
I'm sure he's like, whatever to mind fuck these people even more, let's do it.
Oh yeah, what's going to screw with Meg? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a girl that's going to be reading this in 2021. How can I mess with her the most? Perfect. Yeah. No, and then so we get to the end of the chapter where Paul is speaking to his father about his mentat abilities. So page 74, I think this is Leto. He says, your mother wanted me to be the one to tell you, son. You see, you may have mentat capabilities. Paul stared at his father, unable to speak for a moment, then said, a mentat, me, but... so yeah, then he's, poised with the decision. What are you going to do with this? Are you going to, continue your training or what? And, I don't know. I feel like the whole, like, he goes back on to like what his mother has taught him and what the Bene Gesserit has taught him. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, obviously I was a mentat.
But then it's the idea that, so you're a mentat, but with Bene Gesserit training.
Yes!
And this goes back to the idea of now you're really starting to see how he is going to be the Mahadib. Like this is how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Or to be the Kwisatz
Haderach.
Kwisatz Haderach. That's,
Like he's like the Superman of this universe, it seems.
And we've talked about he's like the prophet, he's the Messiah, he's that special one. Like when we talk about Joseph Campbell, and Joseph Campbell is going to come up, by the way, in chapter 7. I have
perfect.
I have Campbellian things to say, especially since I just finished reading The Hero with 1,000 Faces.
But I need to read that.
Oh.
Let's get through Dune first.
I was like, let's get through Dune first. Like and then you're gonna need to rest.
Yeah.
But that's what Paul represents, though. He is that. He's that hero that is the hero of myth. Mm-hmm. But the idea is that he's a boy who is realizing his destiny is to be this literally hero of myth. Like this is some prophecy about this individual, and it's him coming to realize, oh hell, that's me.
Yeah. And then the Duke Leto says, "You'll be Duke someday, son. A Mentat Duke would be formidable indeed. Can you decide now, or do you need more time?" And I think that also just goes, he's giving his son, like, there's just so much respect, I feel like, between them. Like, he's not pressuring him to have like an answer like right now. Paul says warrior, monk, Jedi.
Yes, absolutely. That's what Paul is.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to talk about. He's a flawed character too, and that's what I love. Okay, we'll save that for. That won't show up till like the second half of the book.
Well, we'll get there next year, probably.
Next year, or whenever the second movie comes out.
Yeah. But then again, so on page 75, there's like the last few sentences here. It says, Paul closed his eyes, feeling the terrible purpose reawaken within him. Perhaps being a Mentat is a terrible purpose, he thought. And I feel like that's been mentioned so many times. Terrible purpose. Like it's always described in such a horrible way.
But once again, it's because he knows that he's destined for something, and he's still trying to. He said maybe Mentat's the terrible person. Like he knows he has a destiny.
Something, yeah.
He just doesn't know what that destiny is yet. And everyone keeps. If you think about it, what has happened these first 6 chapters? Everyone keeps presenting him with, you could be this, you could be that, you could be this, and he keeps on trying to figure out which one of these is what I'm destined to be. It's like a child. Like,
I know, he's literally a teenager.
You're like, what am I going to be when I grow up?
Yeah.
Messiah superhero.
Besides a warrior, monk, Jedi. Okay, so do you have anything else to say about that chapter?
No, because I'm dying to get into chapter 7. I'm ready.
Take the lead.
Okay. So I literally highlighted like half the meta text at the beginning of this episode. And this is what gets into my whole Campbellian thing.
Okay.
So it says, this is from the analysis of the Arakan crisis by the princess. With the Lady Jessica and Arrakis, the Bene Gesserit system of sowing implant legends through the Missionaria Perfectiva came to its full fruition. I love this concept of sowing prophecy legends. Mm-hmm. Okay. What does that mean? The wisdom of seeding the known universe with a prophecy pattern for the protection of Bene Gesserit personnel has long been appreciated, but never have we seen a condition of extremis with more ideal mating of person and preparation. So this is what I thought about when I read that. Campbell's big deal is the idea of the monomyth, the idea that all mythologies, all religions, if you really compare them all, they're basically all telling the same story. That's the whole point of the Hero with 1,000 Faces, the whole point of the monomyth. Every story follows this pattern. It's almost like Herbert at the same time is going, well, what if we explain why everyone has the same pattern? Because this super Kabbalic organization planted stories throughout the universe so that everyone would have the same story. So no matter where a Bene Gesserit woman goes, they know what the mythology, what the religion of this planet is going to be based on, so they can manipulate it and do whatever they need to do with it, because they invented the story and then spread it themselves.
God, I love these chicks so much. Oh, they're so cool.
I was like, when I was reading this, I was like, oh, dude, this is going to be like Meg 2.0 when it came like to our first discussion about the Bene Gesserit.
I just love the thought of there being like this like gang of badass chicks that just like make their own like story throughout like this whole thing, and like they're like the puppet master in a way.
Yes.
And I think it's so
throughout
powerful.
The universe.
Yeah, it's so cool. And of course, Lady Jessica just being like the personification of all of that. She's just so intriguing to me. That I feel like in this chapter you get to know her a lot more. And I also love how they get into the relationship between Duke and her. And you learn a little bit more about her ancestry, even though it's nothing really, but it's like the first time it's brought up.
Well, the fact is that we don't know.
Yeah. And I like before this, it's like I figured she was like highborn or something, and like someone of good birth, but like literally the Duke says like, I have no idea where this chick came from.
I know, and doesn't that just make her even more like intrigued?
I love it. She's like mysterious and badass. I just love it.
Here's something that actually, it was weird. This is what shocked me when I was rereading the chapters today. I forgot that as far as the book is concerned, you literally flip the page and they moved. Like, yeah, we're on Arrakis now.
Yeah, because it's like they made such a big stink about like, all right, you better be ready because we're gonna like they literally get there on shipping containers, right? Like these big, huge,
like these big
ships,
guild ships.
Yeah,
like we'll fit in the our entire lives, our entire kingdom is going to fit in a corner.
Yeah, and it's they made such like such a stink literally about like, you better be ready. Your dad's like, he's really stressing about this. Like, we're moving, and then boom, they're there.
Which is
and
funny.
Then they're unpacking.
Which is funny because like, talking about the movies again, it's like the whole like traveling to Arrakis is like, it's like in both the 84 version and in the miniseries, like it's a whole sequence. And then it's so funny to go back and read the book and go, oh yeah, they just skipped over all that. It's like, we're already there. Like,
Paul says the Bene Gesserit have been manipulating and holding off the awakening of the sleeper for centuries. Sometimes the path to avoiding destiny leads directly to it. Interesting. I have no idea what you're talking about, but
I do.
Keep it in here. Of course you do.
I know. Spoilers, Paul. Spoilers.
It's okay. I literally have no idea what you're talking about. So yeah, they're unpacking, and you can tell that like Lady Jessica is like, she's not like annoyed by it, but I feel like it's kind of stressing her out in a way.
This is a passage like I could like if I was a director, if I could storyboard this chapter, like this is the image that like when you like cut to the scene, like this is the passage. Jessica stood in the center of the hall. She moved in a slow turn, looking up and around at shadowed carvings, crannies, and deeply recessed windows. The giant anachronism of her room reminded her of the sisters' hall at her Bene Gesserit school, but at the school the effect had been of warmth. Here, all was bleak stone. I'm like, dude, if that doesn't set the mood, like this woman is standing in the middle of this giant hall and just desolation. It makes me feel such empathy for Jessica. It's like she feels so lonely in this moment.
Yeah, in this chapter, she recants her time on Caladan a lot too. Like she goes back to like how she misses. Like I think there's like one line where she says that she's like, I'm so far from my home or something. but yeah, it doesn't feel like a very welcoming place, especially because she knows that like she knows that like Duke Leto isn't meant long for this world. So I feel like she's just having a lot of, I don't know if anxiety is the right word, but just a lot of sadness around it, because you get to, I don't know if there's any, like on page 78, but 79 is her and Duke Leto is like the first time in the book that you hear of them together.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like the conversation that Leto just had with Paul, where Paul's like, "Why are we going if you know it's a trap?"
Yeah,
and Leto explaining it's like Jessica having the same conversation, except for Jessica's like, "No, I just know you're gonna like. I know this is not going to work out."
Yeah. The first sentence on 79, a sudden fear of him tightened in her breast. He had become such a savage driving person since the decision to bow to the Emperor's command. So I feel like the tightening in her breast is like she knows that like the gig is up for him soon. And that it's really bothering her, and she just tells him how like the city feels cold.
Yeah, it's like she's because of her B'nai Jesuit intuition. It's like she's just so attuned to how this place has bad juju.
Yes, yeah, and like her powers are really present in this chapter too, because like, and we'll get to it, but at the end of the chapter too is when you're like, oh, okay, she knows something's up for sure, with Paul, where she's like, I need to get to him now type thing.
It's like
something's not right.
Something's not right. Yeah.
But this is also like one of the first times we get a description of Lady Jessica.
Yeah. I was surprised once again, when you reread things, details stand out to you.
Yeah.
Her physical description, very unexpected, I will admit.
Yeah, because like in my head, I'm thinking, this looks like she's supposed to look like Rebecca Ferguson. But Duke recalls like her ancestry, and he said he wondered at her unknown ancestry, a renegade house perhaps, some black-barred royalty. She looked more regal than the Emperor's own blood. And then it goes into her physical description. It says the face was oval under a cap of hair, the color of polished bronze. Her eyes were set wide, as green and clear as the morning skies of Caladan. The nose was small and mouth was wide and generous. Her figure was good but scant, tall, and with its curves gone to slimness. He remembered that the lay sisters at the school had called her skinny, so his buyers had told him, but that description oversimplified. She had brought a regal beauty back to the Atreides line, and was glad that Paul favored her.
Okay, I must admit though, saying his buyers had told him, I was like, yeah, that hit me. That hit me a little. It's always
like, ugh. Because I know, like, I don't know if it was in this chapter, but maybe the previous chapter where it talks about buyers too, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. That's weird. Because like he talks about like her buyers and everything, and then like I just didn't expect that, because he talks about his love for her too.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, at least it worked out this time.
But then we also remember from chapter 1 but it's also all part of the plan. Like it's just this, once again, nothing is simple in this book, in this world. You can't think in very black and white terms, because you realize everyone has double, triple motivations, and people are playing other people.
Yeah. Like there's just like double meanings to everything.
Yes. And like the whole point, I love that was such a husband and wife. I mean, they're not even married, but there was such that husband and wife conversation where she was like, I don't like eating this great hall. Well, it's a good thing I didn't marry you then, or you'd have to be there. And I'm like, dude,
yeah. I was just gonna bring that up because that surprised me so much. So they have like this little spat over where to hang Duke Leto's father's picture, like his portrait, and they were both like, oh, well, it should go here. And he said, no, it should go here. And then Duke Leto says, well, it's going to go here. And that's like final type thing. And so then she becomes cold with him. And I think that's the term he uses. She says, yes, my lord. And he says, you may resume your custom of dining in your rooms whenever possible. I shall expect you at proper position only on formal occasions. And she says, thank you, my lord. And he said, and don't go all cold and formal on me. Be thankful that I never married you, my dear. Then it'd be your duty to come to join me at the table for every meal. And it's like, I guess I expected them to just be married. But like, then again, in like
we had this conversation about how they're not married.
Yeah, yeah, and it's weird to see like there's benefits to it, but I almost feel like she wishes they were married in a way. I don't know.
No, I feel like because I'm sure she would like the idea of not just being. You can almost hear it when she talks to the Fremen woman, like I'm almost like saying I'm just the concubine.
Yeah.
But and the Fremen woman almost says, "Oh, so where's the mistress? Where's the wife?" She's like,
"It's just me.
It's just me."
Yeah.
So it's like this weird, but yet, and I think maybe I even kind of defended Leto a little bit in our first discussion because, like, so technically, the way this society works, he could have a wife,
right, and
have Jessica on the side, and that would just be like
normal.
We cool,
yeah.
But he doesn't, and so I don't know. Being a guy, I'm like, does it buy Leto a few points? I don't know.
I don't know. Like, oh, gee, thanks for doing the bare minimum type thing, like. No, but I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's in the next few pages, but Lady Jessica like makes sure to make it known to the reader that like the Duke's father in this picture isn't much older than what the Duke is now. And I wrote down, she talks about the picture in a way that like she knows that he'll end up having a picture just like this, and like this is like how he'll be remembered.
Which, by the way, the weirdest custom, or is it an Atreides thing? But the idea that you hang the portrait of the dead father across from the head of the animal that killed him,
with his blood still on it,
that they sprayed like they got like they shellacked it immediately to make sure it could preserve the blood on the horns of the beast that killed the old Duke. I'm like, that's special. Okay.
Yeah.
But doesn't that sound like something that like, but this kind of society, like that would be something like we honor him by also having the slain beast that killed him. Like that sounds like,
I guess it's just like, because I know in Game of Thrones they did like the same thing. So Robert Baratheon dies by a boar killing him, and I know that they went out and like slayed the boar too. So maybe it's just like a reminder of like, okay, well you killed him, but we're still going to kill you and hang you up on the wall too.
But maybe it's also kind of like a societal thing of don't get too big for your britches, because remember that it's almost like,
guy died by a boar. Yeah.
It's kind of like the idea of, in Greek mythology, the idea of the sword of Damocles. Mm-hmm. Do you know that? So it's kind of a sword of Damocles thing. It's like, there's that great guy. By the way, there's the thing that killed him.
That's true.
Remember that.
That's true. Yeah. No, I just thought that was interesting that she like had such emotion when she was looking at this picture of him as well. I just feel like it really goes into play as I don't think the Duke is going to be around much longer, and she's upset that maybe her man isn't going to outlive his father.
Right. And that probably there would be a painting of him.
Yes.
In a similar fashion.
Yeah. Yes. And then they get more into the Fremen people, that there's a specific housekeeper that wants to work for Lady Jessica.
Yes, and I'm kind of curious, how did you pronounce her name? This is the fun where Meg pronounces names.
What page
Meg
is her
pronounces
name on?
Names.
Yeah.
It's gonna remember I'm in my Kindle, but somewhere around 81.
Your Kindle's I think the same as
it's the same edition, so like 81.
Oh, you may even want to keep the head of housekeeper, the Shadout Mapes. Is that it?
Yeah, Mapes was definitely how I pronounced that second name. I'm not sure. Shadout or Shadow. I was just kind of curious. I was like, this is where I would just play Meg, name that character.
Yeah, no, I didn't know how to. Mapes is easy, but Shadout, I don't know. Shadout. Yeah, no. So like that's the specific. Like she asked for like to be to serve Lady Jessica. It says they're convinced she wants to serve. Specifically, she wants to serve you. She says, the Freemen have learned that you're Bene Gesserit. There are legends here about the Bene Gesserit.
And then, of course, that's the cool part that you realize, well, why are there legends there? Because the Bene Gesserit socially engineered it.
Like, okay, we're gonna like make legends of ourselves, and then like that's so crazy. That's so cool.
Well, not only is it's like we're going to make legends of ourselves, and then we're going to teach our order what those legends are. So no matter where you go in the universe, you'll know what the basic skeleton of what people are going to believe about you.
Yes.
Because that is one of the most amazing things about Jessica in this chapter is she knows the skeleton. Now, she doesn't know what has grown around it over the millennia, but she is smart enough, she listens, she knows how to play the game, that she pokes at the skeleton and then lets the person fill in the details for her. So she knows, okay, how has the legend grown here? Because I have to act like I'm a goddess, basically, and know all this.
Yes. Yeah, no, they're just so cool, man. I just love them so much.
And there was this story that there was supposed to be like an HBO Max original series that was just going to be a Bene Gesserit show. I haven't heard boo about that in like the last 2 years, but I mean, how would you love it if you had like a Bene Gesserit dedicated show?
That would be so badass. I would absolutely love that. But yeah, no, continuing the chapter, so page, I think it's 81, they talk about people that they can trust here. And Duke Leto says, anyone who hates the Harkonnens. I thought that was really funny. I made sure to write that down. And there's so the Bene Gesserit are a legend in Arrakis. Then I wrote down page 83. Specifically, I wrote down, you can see that the Duke and Lady Jessica do have a love for each other. And at times it seems like maybe the Duke cares more about her. And I feel like maybe that's just because she knows that like something's like going to go wrong with him.
Yeah, I love this passage about the relationship where he says, you must teach me someday how you do that. The way you thrust your worries aside and turn to practical matters. It must be a Bene Gesserit thing. And she just goes, it's a female thing.
I know. She's like, it's just a woman thing.
I was like, oh, that is a badass lady line. That's what that is. I highlighted it. I was like, dude, I love that.
I know. I also love that as you get close to the end of the chapter, she wants to spend more time with him. So on page 83, he has to go meet with Thurfit. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh no, we did this last time.
I know.
Thalfir.
What?
Thalfir Howat.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And that to meet with these people that he's supposed to meet with, and he says, no, I can't, like, I have to go meet with them. And it's just sad because she's like, at the end of this passage, she is like almost pleading for him. She says, my lord, and then ... She broke off, hesitating. He says, yes, he will not be persuaded against trying to make this planet secure for us, she thought, and I cannot use my tricks on him. And then she says, at what time will you be expecting dinner? And he knows that's not really what she wanted to ask him.
Yes.
And I just think it's like, I don't know how much longer the Duke's going to be around, but it doesn't seem like very long. And so she's trying to like keep these moments or like treasure them a little bit longer.
I know. But also she respects him enough not to like do her Jedi mind trick on him to do what she wants.
Yeah. And I like had a question about that. Can she physically not do her tricks on him, or does she just choose not to?
I read it as she chooses, like she loves him enough not to,
manipulate him. Yeah.
To manipulate him and do the whole, these aren't the droids you're looking for,
Gotcha. So then she finally meets this this chick, what's her name? Mapes.
Mapes.
We'll just call her Mapes. Yeah.
We'll call him Mapes, yeah.
Yeah, so she finally gets to meet Mapes, and it's funny because she's like, she's trying to be like respectful and like not look at how her eyes are just like these blue, no whites. And I think that they have like this funny relationship like at the very beginning.
Well, it's like they're both trying to like check each other out. It's like, are you really Bene Gesserit? Are you really what all the legends say that you are?
Yeah.
And Jessica, I feel like Jessica kind of has like this, she doesn't know how to deal with Fremen. Like it's like she did you get this? She like looked down or was like freaked out
a little bit? Yeah. Cause she said like, she said, don't look into her eyes or like, don't focus on that.
Yeah. And then they get into the whole game where it's like Mapes is testing her. Are you the one? Are you part of this legend, part of this prophecy? Well, Jessica's like, okay, what the hell's the prophecy again?
Yeah, I know. She's like, and I don't want to say it wrong because I don't want to mess it up. And I wrote down specifically page 86 is when like they really get into it. And I literally, my notes say, Jessica is that bitch.
Yes, she is.
I love it.
Oh my.
I wish I would have wrote down more specific notes, but literally I just said, yeah, she's that bitch.
It's just like, I want to see this scene.
Me too.
Oh my God. Like,
just like the power she has. Like, so Mapes is like challenging her. She's like, just say what the legend is, or like, just say as the legend is. And, she's like, Lady Jessica wondered, why do I play out this sham? But the Bene Gesserit ways were devious and compelling. So she goes in to say, I know the dark things and the ways of the Great Mother, Jessica said. She read the more obvious signs in Mapes's actions and appearance. The petit betrayals. Petite. Yeah, I don't know how to say these next few lines.
Well, because this is this made up language.
Yeah. And then it's like, so Mapes took a backward step, appeared poised to flee. I know many things, Jessica said. I know that you have borne children, that you have lost loved ones, that you have hidden in fear, and that you have done violence and will yet do more violence. I know many things. And so it's like, she's really like, oof.
Like, well, she's bringing it now. She's like, I am owning this role now, and Mapes is buying it. Like Jessica saying the right things because of her Bene Gesserit training. She's like doing like those micro, like the mentalist, or like those people who can like read micro expressions and like and are like, got it. Yeah, okay. And they're piecing together the story of the person to make it look like they're magical or psychic or whatever. Like, there are those people who can do that, who are scam artists, who are like, and that's what Jessica's basically doing. She's scamming this woman right now.
I know. Well, and then it gets into, she says, I know you came prepared for violence with a weapon in your bodice. which there's a remote possibility you could draw my life's blood, Jessica said, but in doing so, you'd bring down more ruin than your wildest fears could imagine. There are worse things than dying, even for an entire people. And then you can just, Mapes is just like, yo, I didn't, like, calm down. Like, I didn't mean it. Like,
I have a question for you right now. Okay. Do you think the weapon is part of the prophecy, or do you think in, like, Lady Jessica's ability to, like, read micro expressions, she, like, saw, like, the bowl, like, she saw the bowl, like, she just saw there was a knife there? Or do you think it was part of a prophecy that there would be a knife?
I think she knows.
Knows which?
The prophecy.
Okay. And the knife is part, you think the knife is actually part of the prophecy? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels like such an important, like, it has its own name. Like I don't know how to pronounce it, the Kreis knife?
I pronounce it the Chris knife.
Chris knife, yeah, let's go with that.
Because it looks like crystal to me.
Yeah, you're right, because the way they also describe the way it looks, I feel like it's literally just a like knife made of, like, crystal and glitter and just, yeah. But so she says that the weapon was sent as a gift to you, should you prove to be the one. No, I have no idea what the one is.
And no one does. That's the beauty of it, is that, like, Herbert hasn't told us yet.
Yeah. And as the means of my death, should I prove otherwise, Jessica said, she waited in the seeming relaxation that made the Bene Gesserit trained so terrifying in combat. So basically, Mapes gives her the knife. And
here's the description.
Yeah.
She took sheath in one hand and handle in the other, withdrew a milk white blade, held it up. The blade seemed to shine and glitter with a light of its own. It was double-edged like a kinjal, and the blade was perhaps 20 centimeters long.
Dang.
Pretty.
Yes.
It could be, and I love this. It could only be one thing. Jessica knew: the fabled Chris knife of Arrakis, the blade that had never been taken off the planet and was known only by rumor and wild gossip. It's almost like Excalibur.
Yeah, I know. So that's what makes me think that it's part of something bigger. Like, she's meant to have this blade, or like, she's just maybe someone in line that's going to give it to somebody else at some point. I don't know.
But this knife, like, it's that idea, like in mythologies, there's a sacred weapon. There's a special tool or something. And what I thought was interesting was that she knows the purpose of the knife, so that when Maeve starts to put it back and she's like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to, like, you have it, you're sheathing it unbloodied, and Maeve's just
like anytime you unsheath it, it's either to, like, draw blood or, like, to literally kill someone.
So it's like okay, you don't know much about guns, but gun training teaches you never put your finger around the trigger unless you're ready. Like, you don't move your finger to the trigger until you are, like, you're firing the thing.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you don't pull the knife
unless you're going to use it.
Unless you're going to use it.
Yeah. And then she doesn't stab Mapes, but she draws blood. And then you learn a cool thing about the Fremen is that, like, their blood, like, coagulates. Like, it's not like, it doesn't, like, pour out of her.
Well, because it's water. Like, I love how blood is called the water of life.
Yes. Yeah.
Once again, the idea that water is so freaking important on this planet.
Yeah.
That because what is in blood? Like, it's like part water.
Yeah.
And, like, so literally, like, they've mutated. They have this adaptation to where they coagulate super fast because they're literally losing water if they bleed. It's such a cool idea.
It says there was a thick welling of blood that stopped almost immediately. Ultra fast coagulation, Jessica thought. A moisture conserving mutation. And then it's so funny because it's like, Mapes says, you you are ours, she muttered. You are the one. So it's like, okay, then she's the one, and then she just, that conversation's over and it's like, okay, well, how can I help you?
Yeah, because like she proved herself.
Yeah.
It's like I'm your girl Friday now.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like they just go into this normal way of life where it's like, okay, well, this is what I need you to do. And she like puts up the picture of the Duke's father and then the bull's head or whatever it is. No, I just find it so interesting. And it's like they just had like this such intense interaction, and then, okay, how can I what can I do for you?
Well, it's this great idea of you have proven yourself. I am yours now. Mm-hmm. And that's a scene. Like, think about other scenes. Like I think of like the story of Robin Hood and Little John, how they have that fight, and all of a sudden Little John's like, I'm your man.
Yeah.
Or there's the scene of Arthur and Lancelot. When the leader defeats this one person, the person is now like bound for life. Like it's like I am yours to the end now. And like, and you see that cycle play itself out. Know how Mapes is now like my lady,
Yeah.
I am yours.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure like on page 91, they say that blood is the body's water.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's so intriguing. But no, and then go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to talk about how the chapter ends because
yes, go ahead.
Oh my God. Okay. Final paragraph. Behind her, Mapes paused in clearing the wrappings from the bull's head, looking at the retreating back. Quote, she's the one, all right, she muttered. Poor thing.
I know. And then it just goes back to like the terrible purpose thing where it's like you find out that you have like these great abilities or like capabilities, and it's like, all right, what's gonna happen with them now? So it's like, okay, she's the one, but like at what cost?
At what cost? Yeah. I love the foreshadowing. It's like everything is like,
yeah,
we're all effed. Yeah. No.
Yes, Paul. I'm so excited for this movie too.
I'm actually dying to like just go. I know it's nothing like it, but I'm just dying to go back and watch the 1984 movie.
I was thinking about starting and watching it and like ending at the spots where like, we are in the chapters, but of course I know myself, so I know that I won't be able to just stop.
Oh, and also so much of this is not in the 1984 movie.
Well, then there we go. But yeah, no. So then the chapter ends where Lady Jessica feels this urgency to get to Paul.
Yes.
She says, "I need to get to Paul," and then like she starts walking down the long hall, and then at the end of the chapter, she ends up running. Like she starts walking, and then she's like, "Oh no, I got to get there quicker."
Right, like it just.
Yes.
The feeling, like I always refer to it like her spidey sense, like
yes.
It's just like no, I gotta get to my boy.
Yes. So we've been going for 2 hours, and my camera's at 1%. So wow, perfect timing, right?
This is what we do. This is what we do here on Wonder Mag.
Yeah, I know, right? This is so fun. We'll probably do. I mean, let's plan for next week. Let's put it into the ether next week.
Yes.
That we will talk about.
We're still doing 3 more chapters?
Yes. So chapter 7, 8.
No, this was chapter 7. So 8, 9, 10.
9, and 10. There we go.
Which is funny because once again, there's no numbers on these things, but
I know we're just kind of going with, how we're numbering it. But let them know where, they can find you, Scott.
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27 right here. And you can listen to my podcast, the DC Film Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're also on Vero, YouTube, Facebook, and you can find the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
And all of that is listed below, and as well as where you can find me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.